you for growth and success. Thriving Women Talk Radio is an affiliate of the Trendsetter Mentor Group, an exclusive membership for mentorship. My name is Andrea Boenzi, and I am streaming live from Tucson, Arizona with my Thrive Tribe co-host. Our mission is to inspire you to thrive and not just survive. So what makes Thriving Women unique? We have a great team. Our co-hosts are joining us live from all over North America. And I wanted to do just a quick little intro. I have Noelle Ramos, financial professional out of Atlanta, Georgia, joining us today. Lexi Navarro, she's driving 18-wheelers and is also a financial professional out of Dallas, Texas. Rosalind McLuhan, real estate broker and financial professional out of Orlando, Florida. Sabrina Protic, author and certified life coach out of Tampa, Florida. And joining us from Chicago, Illinois, I have Sherry Thompson, also a financial professional. So as you can tell, we're spread out. We are all calling in live to join you, our listeners, and wanted to thank you for taking the journey with us today. I have three trending topics on our Thriving Women show today. Number one, what's on deck? We have, what is a life coach and do you need one? So we've invited life coaches Stacy Solie and Sabine Kenberg to share with our listeners why and how their profession empowers clients and others. Secondly, we have what are the 3 Ps? We'll go through each of those that happened to us after a tragic event. Noelle Ramos and Lexi Navarro will review valuable tips from the book Option B that's written by Sheryl Sandberg and Adam Grant on facing those adversities, building resilience, and finding joy. And finally, why should you listen to Morning Coffee on our TMG platform daily? I've got Rosalind McLuhan to share her thoughts from an inspiring YouTube video in the segment that we call Morning Coffee, where we post videos each morning on our TMG Facebook page. But first, I wanted to introduce Sherry Thompson. She's our Thriving Women reporter from the state of Illinois. Who is on today's Thriving Woman, Sherry?
Our Thriving Woman for today. This is awesome. I'm really, really excited about this. This is a person that has been in the news quite lately. I'm sure you and all our listeners will agree with me that Meghan Markle will be a great Thriving Woman for this week. Now, you can follow her story on Yahoo News. It's only been about a week since Prince Harry and Meghan Markle announced their intentions to step down as senior members of the royal family, a decision that some of the tabloids, have controversially dubbed Megxit. You know, they always have a name for something. But the Duchess of Sussex is already settling right into her new life in Canada. Now, the Queen has since agreed to let the Duke and Duchess of Sussex live in both the UK and Canada during this transition period. And Meghan hasn't wasted any time. Now, she's already completing engagements in her new part-time home. Duchess Meghan is currently staying at the Vancouver Island Vacation Home, where the Prince, Harry, and Archie, where they spent their 6-week holiday. Okay. But she is venturing outside of Vancouver Island and for a very good cause. The Duchess left her temporary home in order to make a private visit to Vancouver's downtown Eastside Women's Center. The organization supports women and children in the community as a safe space that provides meals and other necessities. So what do you ladies think? Does Meghan get your vote for our Thriving Women list? Next week, I will have another Thriving Woman candidate.
So I know that some of us wanted to lean in on the Meghan being a thriving woman. What were your ladies' thoughts on that?
Well, I personally think she is a thriving woman. Before she got married, she was doing her own thing, making her own money. I mean, I don't know if you guys looked into it, but Meghan Markle, she was making about, when I looked it up, about $450,000 just off of that show, The Suits. And, I mean, that's impressive. So I definitely, my vote is she is a thriving woman on my list.
Yes, I know she definitely is a thriving woman on my list. She has stood up to monarchy. she stood up to keep and save her brand and her identity, just like the rest of those have done. So she has my vote.
I didn't know if Lexi wanted to weigh in. I also, I wanted to echo Noelle. I believe she is definitely a thriving woman prior to becoming married. And, I think there's this huge controversy of them making that exit of foregoing their extra rights. At the same time, I do feel that she knew the responsibility when she was marrying him, and I think that it was up to her to make that decision prior. And maybe they did, and they were just, worried about the timing of how they were going to treat that new responsibility. But, nevertheless, she's certainly been a public figure prior to marrying her famous husband. And, I agree. She's definitely one of those thriving women. So maybe we'll see her on the show in the future. That would be fun. Thank you, Sherry, so much for sharing that.
Well, Andrew, I like that, what you said, too. But she had to make that decision, and then I'll turn it back to you. But actually, the reason why they're having this issue is because their brother, his brother, the prince, they protected their brand and their identity and, and their namesake, but they were having issues with themselves doing it. It wasn't being about fair play. So this is why they had to go kind of outside, because if you review it, his brother, the prince, they formed a corporation for their brand to keep it safe, so they could make money off it and other people couldn't use it. So why couldn't they do the same? So they had to take that extra step and actually had to move out.
Interesting. Yeah, that's good to know. I didn't know that. And, it just goes to show there's always more to the story than the media provides for you. So, awesome, Roslyn. Thank you. So last week we had a guest on, Jessica Peterson. She introduced us to an innovative technology called the LifeWave X39 patch. And the LifeWave X39 is clinically proven to provide the body with a level of health and vitality that you have not experienced since you were in your youth. It's backed by multiple clinical studies and 20 years of development. And patch has been demonstrated to provide an abundance of health benefits. So due to our listeners' positive feedback on this technology, we invited Dr. Bud Tomei and his wife, Judy, on today to give us their views on the technology of the LifeWave X39 patch. Good morning, Judy. Thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome to the Thriving Women Talk Radio Show. And also thank you for taking a moment out of your day to give us the insight on the X39 technology from a medical view. So we've visited the company's website to read some of their client testimonies, and it sounds real. What are your thoughts? Do you feel it's real, or do you feel it's more of a placebo?
Well, thanks for having me. I am very honored and happy to be on the show today. And I am going to be very honest with you. I still am doing some research on it. It sounds wonderful. I do know regenerative medicine is life-changing. We have a thriving regenerative medicine practice here in Tampa that focuses on musculoskeletal orthopedic conditions. And I know that our procedures have been life-changing for many patients who had no other option. And as far as the patch is concerned, I do believe that it is beneficial, but I still have a few questions, and I would like to come back at maybe at a later date and give you my professional opinion on this.
No, I would love to have it. Would you give us just a brief overview of your practice and the types of clients that you guys treat?
Oh, absolutely. Our practice focuses on alternative medicine for orthopedic conditions such as osteoarthritis of any joint, ligaments, to repair ligaments. We have treated many football players. We are associated with the NFL Alumni Association in the Florida area, and we have treated multiple orthopedic conditions from these ex-players who are, as we all know, beat up quite extensively. And the results have been amazing. In some cases, it's been immediate.
That's exciting, and that's encouraging. I think, so many athletes, they go through life, and whether it's a collegiate or even onto the professional level, part of their job literally is their bodies, and then they, are left to figure it out after they retire or leave the field. So that's excellent that there are opportunities such as yourselves that are available to help them work through that. What happens to them after they're done, they're all on the field.
Absolutely, and we're not here just to treat athletes. We treat everyday people who think they have no other alternative, and not everyone is a candidate for surgery. If you are a business person and cannot take the luxury of taking anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks off to recover after surgery, it's quite expensive, and regenerative medicine is actually a better financial choice, along with because of the recovery time. There is no downtime, and the recovery time is very you may have to have some therapy, but for the most part, you just come in, do the procedure, and go back. And we had one football player who came in. We did his shoulder and his back, and he was golfing the very next day. And that you could never do that with surgery.
Yeah, no. I mean, you could try, but then you would be crippled again later. So
I don't even think you could try.
No.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Judy, so much for taking the time today. I know you squeezed out a few minutes for us, and I appreciate it, and I would definitely love to have you back on in the future and hear your thoughts more on this particular patch that we're studying. We've invited 100 listeners to participate in a one-time masterclass webinar with the company executives of the X39 patch to explain further and to take your questions. So the masterclass webinar is going to be held on Saturday, January 25th, and this will be from 12:30 to 1:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And it's very easy to receive your free ticket. Go to eventbrite.com and search the Trendsetter Masterclass, the LifeWave X39. And, of course, we'll post that on our Facebook page. But if you have some challenges, please email npartners@yahoo.com. So, again, thank you, Judy, and look forward to having you back. And we're going to take a brief sponsor break. And when we come back, our book reporters will answer this question. What are the three P's that we will go through after a tragic event? We'll be right back.
Thriving Women is sponsored by Trendsetter Mentor Group, an exclusive membership for mentorship. Trendsetter Mentor Group is an exclusive Facebook mentoring membership for thriving entrepreneurs with a culture of caring, connecting, and collaboration. TMG's mission is mentoring, mindset, and empowerment. If you are a thriving entrepreneur and aspire to surround yourself with like-minded peak performers, join TMG's exclusive membership group on Facebook by sending a member request to the Trendsetter Mentor Group. We are the membership for mentorship. Now back to the Thriving Women Radio.
Awesome. You are tuned into Thriving Women Talk Radio, and in this segment, Thriving and Reading, we have Noelle Ramos and Lexi Navarro to inspire our listeners to get the book Option B, Facing Adversity, Building Resilience, and Finding Joy, which is written by Sheryl Sandberg, and they are going to share some notes from their journals. Noelle, what do you have for us today?
Thank you, Andrea. So I'm really excited about this book, Option B, written by Sheryl Sandberg. I suggest everybody go out and take a look at it. So in the introduction, it's discussing how Sheryl Sandberg, she was 45 years old, a Facebook COO, and a mother of 2. And her husband, Dave, were actually vacationing in Mexico when she found her husband. He was collapsed on the gym floor after he had been missing for several hours. And he never woke up again from that event. So, of course, Sheryl was completely devastated, rightly so. And in this book, I just want to say that she opens up her heart to describe her grief and her isolation that she went through along the way. She had so many unanswered questions, like we all do, like why her, why him? He was so young. They were in their 40s, you know. And it also goes on further to discuss, you know, sadly, just after 2 weeks after losing her husband, Dave, she had to go out and prepare for a child-father activity. And when she had to realize she had to plan for this event, she reached out to her friend Phil, and, you know, she was crying to him how much she wanted her husband Dave and at that moment. So her friend Phil, he puts his arm around her and says to her, option A is not available, so let's just kick the crap out of option B. So life is never going to be perfect, and we're all going to, at some point, have to live with some form of option B. And this book is here, honestly, to help us just kick the crap out of option B. Lexi, my Thrive Tribe co-host, can you share with us can you share with our listeners just what you learned in lesson 1 from the book, and maybe answer some of the 3 Ps Andrea mentioned that we talked about, what you go through after a tragedy?
Yes, definitely. Thanks, Noelle. And yes, I agree. You know, a lot of times, I admire somebody like Sheryl where she's gone through something so tragic. Just be able to write this down, write down what she experienced, and allowing us to prepare. You know, we may all be living through some type of option B, some more, some less tragic, but it's still traumatic for us. And so I agree. Let's find a way to join together and kick the crap out of option B. And what is the first lesson? Like the lesson that was discussed here in regards to the 3 Ps. So there's a pioneer. He's a happiness pioneer. His name is Martin Seligman. He describes a 3P model that Sheryl clearly went through. And so what can we learn after a traumatic event, right? The 3 Ps, and you mentioned a little bit about the 3 Ps last time. And so the first P has to do with personalization. So even contrary to all evidence, when something like this happens to us, like in the book you mentioned that Sheryl kept blaming herself for this, something that she could do nothing about. So, and I think it's inevitable, right? It's inevitable for us, especially when it happens to somebody close to us. It's inevitable for us to wonder, like, what could we not done, or what did we do? And it also talks about how she stayed close to a nervous breakdown all the time. So the weight on her shoulders felt too heavy, and like it could never be lifted. And how many of us, even now, like sometimes the weight of starting a business, or the weight of dealing with your kids that, you know, are not listening to you. There's so many different things that are happening that we have to deal with this weight on our lives, and how do we move forward with that? So she associated what happened with herself and how she could have done something different, right? She blamed herself for not paying enough attention to her husband more, or she felt guilty for not pushing him to change his diet more. Now, the second P talks about pervasiveness. So the first one was personalization. The second one is pervasiveness. The pervasiveness just means just naturally the sadness affecting every aspect of your life. You know, something bad happens to you, and everywhere you go and everything you're doing, you just carry that with you. It's just this pervasiveness. And then the final third P is permanence. It's something like you're just thinking that it's just never going to go away. It's just after being stuck in like a vicious cycle. She felt like it just became impossible to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So those 3 Ps, so these are what make trauma difficult to get past. And so what therapists say is that the 3 Ps can stunt recovery. they advise that we must realize and accept that hardships are not entirely our fault and that they don't affect every aspect of our life, and they're not going to follow us everywhere. That's such a relief. And so seeing trauma this way allows us to be less likely to be depressed and also better able to cope. So those are the 3 P's: personalization, permanence, and pervasiveness. And so we do not want next week we'll discuss lesson 2. And so I also want to encourage everyone to get on this journey with us as we kick the crap out of option B. So Noelle, what are your final thoughts?
Thank you, Lexi, for going over the 3 Ps. And it's not an easy hump to get over, and by no means, and no one's expecting, you to recover over any kind of loss or traumatic experience, 1, 2, 3, lickety split. But Lexi and I, we just want to encourage all our listeners to pick up this book, Option B by Sheryl Sandberg, because it goes beyond Sheryl's loss. She co-wrote it with Adam Grant, and what they did was they went out and explored a wide range of people and how they overcame their hardships. Hardships like illness, job loss, sexual assault, and then they show how the human spirit perseveres and just how to rediscover joy. So I just want to encourage all our listeners to go out and get this book. I'm excited to dive in deeper. I know as Lexi and all the rest of the Thrive Tribe are. Andrea, what are your thoughts?
So I picked up this particular book on Audible, and it's heavy, you guys. When you first jump into it, it's heavy, but don't give up, because there are some great tips in there and good tricks to help manage this. Loss is not easy, and there's really no rule book for it. It's not something that we cover when we're in school, and this is how you lose a parent, this is how you lose a pet. We just kind of navigate those things as we go through life. So option B, I love it. They talk about how option A doesn't work out, and how many times do we set a plan, or we have this vision for ourselves, and there is no option B. There is no second play. This is what we're going to do, and if it doesn't work out, so many people just let that affect them and dictate how the rest of their life is going to be. It didn't work out, and I'm sorry that it didn't work out. But do not go become a bump on a log and a slug on your couch and just mope about it for the rest of your life. There is so much that you can learn and take from this experience, and we have to grow through the pain, and create that life for yourself. Make the adjustment. It's a game of adjustments. So we're not going to get the call that we wanted, and I'm going to circle it back to sports. You're a pitcher, and you're up there on the mound, and you're hurling it in there. And, yeah, you want to throw strikes, but you also want to throw off-speed pitches in different locations, and you want to get those calls so you can strike that batter out. And sometimes it just doesn't happen that way. Maybe you don't get the call, or maybe if you're playing for the Astros, you're going to give the signs away, and they're going to hit dingers out. You got to get over it. Sorry, I had to throw that Dodger banter in there.
Of course.
But, life happens, and it's part of the game. You're not supposed to win all the time. We've got to be able to take those failures and fail forward and adjust through and persevere. So I believe option B has really been a great book, a great read, a great listen, depending on your style, to help you learn some of those techniques to move forward. So thanks, ladies, for introducing that book. I hope the listeners out there are inspired to pick it up. It's definitely been a motivational piece for us. And as you can tell, it's something that we're passionate about sharing with you. So I want to make a transition. We talked about morning coffee, and today's morning coffee is sponsored by the Trendsetter Mentor Group, which is your membership for mentorship. And, we've got this great forum that you can join online on Facebook, the Trendsetter Mentor Group, where you're able to learn about these books that we are introducing to you and why. We've got some great authors on there that we're introducing to you, And today we are speaking on the topic of morning coffee. So I believe, Noelle, you were going to take that one over. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But before she takes over, I want to share why we listen to the morning coffee, or why I listen, and why I'm enthused about it. Because not like some of us fans or some of our listeners, sometimes I don't like reading a book. So, but it's important because we got to remember, if we want to change our future in health, wealth, business, if we want to eat better, we want to perform better, we want to become leaders, we want to become better leaders, we even want to become entrepreneurs or better entrepreneurs, because some people have never done business before in life. We need to reprogram our minds and our thoughts. And these little segments will help do that, because once that programming starts, then our habits will change. And once your habits is changed, that's how you get better at being what you want to be. So as this note, I like this. As Daryl says, come get your mental medicine each morning so that you can thrive instead of just survive. So, Noelle, can you share with us what one of them videos is like?
Absolutely. Thank you, Rosalind, for that. I mean, like she said, morning coffee just encompasses a little bit of everything. And if you don't like to read, if you need that little pick-me-up in the morning, that motivation, jump on in and visit our morning coffee. This past Wednesday's morning coffee had Matthew McConaughey on it. Woo, I love me some Matthew McConaughey. How many of you ladies? Oh, he's just a great actor. Oh, my gosh. So I can go on and on about him. Ooh. Anyways, he is also a great motivational speaker as well, if you did not know. So he shared with us on our morning coffee on Wednesday 5 rules for success, and he shared it to the university graduation class. And the 5 rules for the rest of your life, he says this isn't his 5 rules, it's just 5 rules, that he likes to abide by and kind of follow. So the first one is, do not believe in entitlement. He goes on to say, life isn't fair and it's never going to be, so don't fall into that entitlement trap of just feeling you are a victim. Let it go. I'm not going to sing for you guys. Let it go. Anyway.
I did.
Let it go. I did. I'm sorry I said I wouldn't. I lied. I have to. If you guys listen to our past shows, I always sing a little bit. Second one was, do not believe in unbelievable. Matthew says, we're on a first-name basis if you didn't know. So Matthew says, unbelievable is just the stupidest word he could find in the dictionary, because if it happens, you believe it. You just saw it, you just witnessed it, believed it happened. So get unbelievable out of your vocabulary, because things happen that's just extraordinary and spontaneous and just great. So unbelievable is no longer an option. Third was, joy is a feeling no matter your outcome. If happiness is what you're looking for, then you're going to be let down every day. You can't be happy every day, but you have to find what brings joy into your life and what sparks you, and chase after that joy, not so much the happiness all the time. Fourth was, know what success is to you and set your priorities. What is success to you? Ask yourself that question. Is it money? Is it love? And if it's money, it's okay. We have to make money to live, so just make sure we're not drinking that Kool-Aid and jeopardize your integrity. And the last one was, don't leave crumbs and make the right choices. Don't leave crumbs. What does that mean? Don't do something in the future, or don't do something that you're going to have to look over your shoulder for in the future. So don't do something you're going to regret and then worry that if you owe somebody money and you see them in the movie theater, you're like, oh, well, let me shrink down in my chair because I owe them money and I haven't paid them yet. So be careful what you do and make sure you're making the right choices. Set your integrity. So if you would like to receive your daily cup of morning coffee, we're going to invite you to join and send your request to the Trendsetter Mentor Group. It's an amazing group. It has that daily mentoring every morning with that spot of coffee. Drink your morning coffee and get your motivation.
Awesome. Well done, Noelle, and thank you, Rosalind. So again, check out the Trendsetter Mentor Group on Facebook. Would love to see you there and also hear your input on our morning coffee. Switching gears, I wanted to circle back to the life coach. We brought up life coaching. What is that? What's a life coach, and do you need one? And if you're like most people, you are thinking, do I need one? Why do I need one? Did you know that there are several different types of life coaches out there? And to be able to peel back the layers of the onion on what is a life coach, we invited life coaches Stacy, Solie, and Sabine Kevinberg to answer those questions for you. So our Thrive Tribe has done some homework on this topic, and we've visited the acclaimed, all-popular life coach Tony Robbins' website to get some answers, and this is the data that we found. Rosalind, would you mind sharing some of the data that you found on the Tony Robbins?
I sure do not mind. Well, after reviewing Tony's website, he gives important questions on how we need to evaluate if we need to hire a life coach. We need to know if I really do need a life coach. And he also states, what untrue ideas do I hold about myself? And you see, we got all these I's because we all have to dig in and see why. Do I constantly tell myself that I am not good enough to accomplish my goals? Well, we all realize, and I know I do, we all have old battle scars, and sometimes we have trouble letting things go that happened to us in the past. And if we don't let go of that past item, then it will limit and prevent us from moving forward in our life and even moving forward in our future goals. So if we continue to hold on to these terrible memories and feelings, have you ever noticed that it is so exhausting and counterproductive? I find it like that all the time because you're stuck in the past. So this is where the life coach comes in and can help you process those old beliefs and ideas in which ways that allows us to work those counterproductive patterns, get rid of them, get more things done, move forward. Instead of dwelling on the past, we need to keep going in all the areas. So the next question she talked about is what is actually a life coach? Well, let's think about it like this. If I had a problem formulating a clear vision, or say I didn't have that problem, but I have a problem creating an actionable plan on how to execute it, then a coach is your go-to resource. So, because they are definitely trained to know proven strategies to help you find success and frameworks to get those results. And you better believe that your coach has used these methods in their own life to achieve these successes. So what I say to me and everyone here, do not let your idea fall by the wayside due to lack of organization. So with that information, Andrea, I believe each person can decide if they need a life coach.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I will admit I need a life coach. As organized as I am, I feel like I still need that coach to help me make those adjustments. We talk about muscle memory in the athletic world, and you go out there and you practice, and I was a pitcher, so I'm out there practicing for an hour to 2 hours a day, just perfecting those mechanics, and I didn't know to do that without a coach. So when you are working out in the workforce, maybe you're an entrepreneur, maybe you are in management, so you're in a leadership position with a corporate entity, or maybe it's a smaller business. We all need coaching, and where do you go to get it? I think that was really one of the big unknowns was, okay, I know I need this stuff. I know I need to be fed, but where do I get it from? So we've invited some of our experts on to join us today. Stacy Solie, success and menopause coach. We're excited to hear from her. I wanted to read a little bit from her website and bio. So she writes, after 40, I felt exhausted. It became harder to lose weight, impossible to sleep through the night, with hot flashes and mood swings dominating my days, and my mental, emotional, and physical health plummeted. I didn't feel like myself anymore, and my libido was non-existent. Little did I know this would be the start of my second revolution, cultivating happiness, healthfulness, and reclaiming my sexual essence and desire after menopause. So I went on a mission to figure out the simple, healthy lifestyle changes to balance my hormones, release excess weight, keep my juices flowing, and nourish my body rather than deplete it. So welcome to Thriving Women, Stacy. We are so happy to have you on today and join us and share with us a little bit more about your journey and what drove you to be where you are today.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. It's an honor.
Well, it's an honor to have you join us. And, as I mentioned earlier, we have different coaches for different things. We've got a pitching coach, we've got a batting coach. And you guys, I'm sorry, I'm a baseball nut, and we're like 20 days out from pitchers and catchers reporting. So I'm a little excited. But just trying to make it relatable. So,
absolutely.
At this point in your life, you recognize that you needed some assistance and you needed some help. And were you able to find that anywhere? Or it feels like you just decided you were going to go out there and be that person. Do you mind sharing that with us?
Oh, absolutely. And, I'll be honest with you. If you would have told me a few years ago that I was going to be a menopause coach, I would have just really cracked up laughing or even just kind of rolled my eyes, because that would not have been something I would want to say to the world. Hello.
Right.
And, it's because no one is talking about it. I went to, my doctors several years ago, probably going on about 6 years ago, and they just said, you're too young, you may be in perimenopause, but probably not. I kind of thought I was going crazy, and all the information that I found was not supportive, and nobody really wanted to talk about it. Everybody just kind of wanted to hush about it, and there's just some hot flashes, or there's this, and you just kind of have to deal with it. And so I decided that I wanted to find some holistic solutions. I was a health coach and been a health coach now for the last 8 years, and the things that I was doing wasn't working for this because I had never been through it. So that was the beginning of my journey, and I decided that since I could figure it out for myself, I needed to help other women and help them to start talking about it. So that was my passion.
Awesome. What a unique niche. So way to recognize that, you had something to give back as you were going through this journey on your own. I mean, it's going to happen, just like any other thing. So thank you for sharing absolutely. That.
Yes. And most people don't realize that it can be upward and onward of 10 plus years.
Oh, wow.
Yes. But there is some really amazing things during menopause. So that's what I'm excited to share and to help women with as well.
Awesome. Well, we're excited to learn more about it. We have another life coach on with us today, Sabine Kevenberg she's an amazing life coach, and I wanted to read a note from her website bio. So Sabine is an author, a coach, a singer-songwriter, and dynamic speaker with an extraordinary story and a tremendous ability to touch people's hearts and souls. She's a master at accomplishing even the loftiest goals and teaching others to do the same. With her inspirational story and music, she is now teaching others how to take charge of their lives, living with joy, purpose, and passion. Sabine has published 2 books, Secrets on How to Succeed in Showbiz and Unlock Your Full Potential. So welcome, Sabine, to Thriving Women. So super excited to have you on and to share your story with us.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
How did you move yourself into this position? What made you decide that you were going to lean in a little bit extra on these topics?
Well, I've been a coach my whole life, really, starting out as an acting and vocal coach, because that was my first career. I was a performer, a stage and TV actress in Europe for 10 years. Then I moved to the United States, and I opened up my own business, a performing arts school, that I still have to this day, but I'm not running it actively anymore, for over 25 years. And 3 years ago, I made a decision to move to a warmer weather, to sunny Florida. And so throughout my teachings, I realized I taught more than just music and acting, although being an acting coach is very similar to a life coach, let me tell you that. But I had more and more people who wanted my help, how to improve their business, because I'm also a business owner and so forth. And then I realized that actually it doesn't matter where you succeed or what profession you have, either as a performer, a business owner, it doesn't matter what it is. They're always the same basics. And that's what I also try to bring into realization to my performers. That's why I wrote the book, Secrets on How to Succeed in Showbiz, because it's just 20% talent, 80% is all the mindset. And as one of you mentioned earlier, reading up What is a Life Coach with Tony, I actually worked very closely with Tony, attended some of his workshops and also his business mastery. I just finished a certification with him as a knowledge broker. And so I know exactly where he's coming from, and I learned a lot from him that I also incorporate now into my teachings. Because really, 80% is mindset, 20% is mechanics. I'm very passionate about life itself, and as you mentioned earlier in one of your segments, you have to discover the joy. You have to bring the joy into life. And now I'm helping my clients to balance their life so they can reduce their stress, but also can take the next step in their life, in their personal or business life, by using some very effective, proven techniques that Tony has used for many years to really bring in some joy. And one last thing I want to say, and this is so important for people to realize, we all have to, in order to grow, we have to progress. When we progress, we grow, and we bring joy into life, into our life. If we don't grow, we stagnate. And that's when we go backwards or die.
Right.
So that's in a nutshell what I do, what I teach, and bringing in the joy and helping others to live a happy and joyful life.
Oh, well, we're excited. Thank you, Sabine. We are going to take a quick sponsor break, but when we return, we would like to ask both you ladies some questions and just explore a little bit more of you and your journey. So we will be right back.
Thriving Women is sponsored by Trendsetter Mentor Group,
Right.
an exclusive membership for mentorship. Trendsetter Mentor Group is an exclusive Facebook mentoring membership for thriving entrepreneurs with a culture of caring, connecting, and collaboration. TMG's mission is mentoring, mindset, and empowerment. Now, if you are a thriving entrepreneur and aspire to surround yourself with like-minded peak performers, then join TMG's exclusive membership group on Facebook by sending a member request to the Trendsetter Mentor Group. We are the membership for mentorship. And now back to the Thriving Women Radio.
Awesome. Thank you. Hey, everybody. You are tuned into the Thriving Women Talk Radio show, and I wanted to introduce to you someone we haven't heard yet from our panel, Sabrina Protic. She's author and certified life coach out of Tampa, Florida. Sabrina is joining us live, and I continue on the segment of how do you know if you need a life coach?
Thank you so much, Andrea, for that wonderful introduction. And this is truly a thriving sisterhood by Trendsetter host. You are listening to Thriving Women Talk Radio, and today we're chatting with life coach Stacy Solie. She's a menopause coach, and Sabine Kavenberg, an amazing life coach. Thank you both for taking so much time and sharing with our audience this new phenomenon in hiring life coaches. And I'd like to say that both of these women also support women's empowerment. They are part of our women's empowerment group. So they're powerful women in our communities, and they love sharing information. I'd like to direct a question to Sabine so that our listeners may be asking themselves, how do you choose a life coach and what to expect from their services? Sabine, what are your thoughts on that?
Good question. You know, when you feel that you cannot go to the next level in your life, wherever it may be, and you need some help, then I would recommend a life coach would be a good start. You can obviously have mentors in your life. You have friends in your life. But most importantly, I would always recommend have somebody from the outside that has a bird's eye view of your situation and is not directly connected to you. So sometimes friends could maybe mean the best, but maybe not being the best for you, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Yeah, so if you have that desire, and it has to come from you, you cannot say, well, I think this person would need a life coach. That person has to be ready. And then what I do with my clients, I always set up a free introduction conversation, a phone call usually, where I just want to know a little bit about that person. And then I would tell them how I could help them. So there is a conversation there. And from that point, the client can make a decision, yes, I want to move forward, or maybe not. So for me, this is a very important step in the process.
Thank you, Sabine. Very powerful information and something our listeners need to know. I'd like to turn a question to Stacy. Stacy, what is the difference between hiring a physiologist and hiring a life or success coach? And what would be the cost? Because we know even with menopause, a lot of that is mental. So let's hear from you.
Oh, absolutely. And I think I get that a lot. A lot of times people are wondering, what's the difference between traditional therapy and coaching? And I think it's probably different depending upon, the practitioner and who you're working with. But for myself, I work with people on the 3 levels of change. So a lot of times in traditional therapy, you are working on your past, so the things that happened to you in the past that are affecting your present circumstances, and kind of going back to the stories and going there. And for my services, I work with people on the beliefs that they formed through those experiences, and really being able to help them to achieve their desires and their goals that they want for the future. And most of us kind of know what to do, right? There's a lot of information out there. You can pretty much YouTube or Google anything. But the problem is that a lot of us have different sets of beliefs that get in the way. They stop us. We might think we're not good enough, or we might have something that happened to us that is holding us back, and we can't figure out why we keep sabotaging ourselves. And that's why people really have a really difficult time with like New Year's resolutions and things like that. So I help them not only change the behavior, but also the beliefs, so they can form the new identity.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Again, very powerful information to our audiences. Rosalind.
Yes. Wow. Well, Stacy, I just want to tell you that you let the air out of my balloon. 10 years. You mean to tell me I might have to go through 10 years, no sleep? I can't take it, these mood swings, so I can relate, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners can relate. So I want to ask you, can you share with us, our listeners, and especially myself, like a story of a client? You can, leave out their name, when you would hire them, how would it be, or how do you actually, like, if I came to you with my story for a menopause coach, could you give like an example of how you directed that person on a particular situation of how you help them, and what did you learn about yourself in doing these things and helping?
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that last part that you asked, like, what did I learn about myself? Because that is an amazing part of coaching when you're working with others, is having that ability to have the mirror effect, to be able to learn and grow together. I talk about how it's about co-creating together. So typically clients come to me through referrals, sometimes when I'm out and about networking, or also I have a lot of an online presence. So they come to me through a consultation. And I would say, you know, one of my most recent clients that I absolutely loved working with, she came to me really pretty healthy. She was physically active. She ate really, clean, organic food, really was doing all the right things, but she still had some issues. She found herself in menopause. She was eating less, but she was gaining more, which is really frustrating. And, she had, if you just looked at it, she was doing all the right things. And so just by working together, I was able to actually show her some different food things that she could change up to help her with not only being able to sleep better, because sleep is so important, right, ladies? And helping to reduce the hot flashes, and to be able to offer a morning routine, which is, I think, one of the most life-changing things that you can do. And to be able to then, having her be more mindful, really changed her whole entire outlook on menopause, so that she started to just slowly drop the weight. She started feeling more energy. She's actually eating more, and just started feeling more empowered, more comfortable in her own skin again, right? And wasn't resisting it, but actually was starting to enjoy where she was in her life. So it really opened up a lot of doors for her.
Wow, that was fantastic. That's everything I wanted to hear.
Yes, I like to call it that it's like a rebirth, it's our time. And so when we can embrace it that way, and we can learn from each other and find out some of the tools that we're using, it can really be amazing.
Well, that is wonderful, and I can definitely relate, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that, because we do have a hard time losing weight, doing exercise. Well, I want to jump off, and I have to ask Sabine. I know you're an author, a coach, a singer, a songwriter. Can you share with us in the audience what would be a perfect client that needs your coaching?
Sure. I'm happy. Well, really what my abilities are is to connect to people. And I have really clients from all walks of life. I had a client who just wanted to pursue her passion. She had so much inside of her and wanted to write a book. So when I worked with her through the steps that really hindered her to pursue that path, to overcome those limiting beliefs that we all have, what Stacy was referring to, this is the biggest thing. So I was able to do it. And then I was also able to give her practical steps, because I am an author and have been through that process. So I gave her every week certain action steps. And I'm very, very passionate about putting it right into action and giving people practical steps to do until we meet the next time. And so by the end of our session, she had her book, she had all the rest of the chapters ready, and she had an artwork. So I gave her some tips how to do it and where to get it, had it all done. So her book was done at the end. So that was one client. She wanted to do it to just get something artistic out of her. And then I had another client that I coached. She is a businesswoman, had several stores, beauty stores, and her barrier was how to grow her business, how to go to banks and feel confident, so to present. And of course, my experience as an actress and a coach in that area, I could help her in this respect. But also as a DTM, a Distinguished Toastmaster, as speaker, I was able to help her with some of the speeches. So you see, it doesn't matter where you are. If you want to grow in an area, and if you like a coach who's hands-on, who has the life experience, who has the experience in many areas, and I guess I would be the one. I hope that answered your question.
Yes, Sabine, that's great. This is Sabrina Protic coming in, and I want to say I love the part about the action step, because that's how I learn. I have to have a roadmap in front of me, and then I can take it in bite-sized pieces. So we appreciate that. And I'd also like to let our audience know, didn't I see you recently doing some skydiving? Is that true?
Yes. See, again, you have to walk your talk. And my talk is all about living young, having fun. And I just started a new YouTube channel that on a weekly basis, what I wanted to put out there is free content that help inspire people to take action, help inspire people, and also realizing there is no, well, I'm done now. Now I went through menopause. Stacy, you probably will agree, now my life is over. No, it's not. You see, when I made a decision, I want to do something that really scares me. When I turned 60, that was a gift to myself, and said, I'm going to do it no matter what. And you see, you can start wherever you are, no matter how old you are, no matter where you are, you start. And you do what makes you fun, what makes your heart tickle for joy. And that's what I hopefully share with not just my clients, but with everybody who follows me. And that brings me joy. And that I know I can make an impact in other people's lives, and I can make an impact in the world.
That is wonderful. Well, we certainly want to thank you both for sharing this information with our listeners. If our listeners want to seek you out and learn how they can find or start this process of rechanneling their lives, how would they find you? Let's hear from Sabine and then from Stacy. How would they find you?
Sure. They can find me very simply to go to my website, which is my name, SabineKvenberg.com, SabineKvenberg.com, or just follow me on Facebook or YouTube. Again, my name, or search for Living Young, Having Fun.
Excellent. We thank you so much. Stacy Solie, how can we find you and start the process?
Well, just like Sabine said, I'm going to visit my website at stacysolie.com, and it's just Stacy with just C-Y, and Solie is spelled S as in Sam, O-L-I-E. And I've got a great website there that has a lot of information on my blog. And if the listeners want to see what it's like to see me in person, I have a free video lesson that they can click there and download, and it's called Reclaim Your Spark in Menopause.
Thank you so much. Andrea?
Awesome, ladies. Thank you so much to Stacy and Sabine for joining us today, and have definitely opened my eyes, and I know my team, to the different areas, available not only in coaching but in life. So enjoy listening and learning about you guys, and appreciate you sharing your joy and your passion with us here at Thriving Women.
You're so welcome. It was a joy to be there, and thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Next week we're going to learn how are we going to write a book. How do you write a book? Our Thriving Women guest will be Lisa Garcia. She is the COO of Now, the 90-Day author. And we're excited to have her joining us. And also, I would love for you guys to follow us on Facebook. You can find us individually on Facebook or Instagram. Same as the ladies earlier, my first and last name, Andrea Bolenzi, on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Would love to have you as a friend, and also would love to connect with you in the Trendsetter Mentor group on Facebook. So if you wanted to learn more about becoming a member, please reach out to any one of our hosts, and we can get you plugged into the Trendsetter Mentor group on Facebook. And also, if you're interested in becoming a guest on our Thriving Women show, would love to have you there as well. So you can reach out to us directly. You can email any requests to our producer, Daryl Johnson, at npartners@yahoo.com. So that's N as in Nancy, partners@yahoo.com. And we would love to get you that information and also learn to share your story as we did with Sabine and Stacy today. So again, I wanted to thank everybody from Noelle, Lexi, Rosalind, Sabrina. We wanted to thank you each, our listeners, and also a special thank you to our guests, Stacy and Sabine, for joining us today on Thriving Women. We are looking forward to next week's show where we're learning to write that book, and also just want to continue to encourage